If you have been following the downfall of Star Wars and Lucasfilm, you likely are aware of the Lucasfilm Story Group. It, once upon a time, was all women and headed by Kiri Hart, developing The Last Jedi in concert with Rian Johnson. Then we were led to believe that Pablo Hidalgo took the thing over, and of course, he got in big trouble attacking Star Wars Theory and Gina Carano. But Pablo, we were told by Pablo, doesn't do that no mo. It's only too bad that a very unlikely source now seems to confirm it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the place that is telling truth every single video and bringing you the news in a way that you will not hear anywhere else. Click the like button, folks. We're going to explain to you why the Lucasfilm creative executive appears to continue to be Pablo Hidalgo, and he is now connected with the Acolyte and more that makes Disney not feel all right because it's all failed. Despite Pablo's claims, it now looks as if he has been an intricate part of what's been falling apart at Lucasfilm. We'll explain right now. We finally know what Pablo Hidalgo has been up to at Lucasfilm. This is yet another exclusive here on the Pro Channel. In a day of exclusives, let me tell you, you came to the Pro Show, we're here to give it to you. You'll hear this nowhere else except here first, and this will be the headlines for tomorrow, we're sure. Folks, you might have recalled that Pablo Hidalgo, who is a creative executive over at Lucasfilm, whenever Pablo Hidalgo decides to pop up like one of those whack-a-moles at the arcade, he always is quick to say that you don't know what he does, and nobody knows what he does, and nobody can tell what he does at Lucasfilm, but he definitely didn't do whatever it is that you don't like. Pablo Hidalgo, right? And Pablo Hidalgo, if you don't know who he is, well, he's someone who has had a very abrasive time. He's the guy who mocked, it seems, Star Wars Theory, got in a bunch of trouble, had to issue an apology. Pablo's the one who maybe, perhaps, we bet, said something very unkind about Gina Carano. And Pablo seems to have earned a lot of distrust and dislike throughout the Star Wars community. Yet he is a creative executive. Every time Pablo Hidalgo pops up, though, Pablo Hidalgo wants you to know that he does not do whatever it is that you think he does that clearly is bad at Lucasfilm. It's only too bad, then, that of all the places in the world, Penguin Random House has outed him out. Man, what a day. What a day. Here we go. Take a look at this, folks. It is the Star Wars The Acolyte Visual Guide. Now, this was intended to be a book that was going to celebrate the success of The Acolyte. And this was a book that was supposed to come out in January of 2025 and was supposed to be the heralding in of the second season, probably with an announcement, with a lot of fanfare. But instead, it is not faring well because the second season was canceled. And as a result, there's no push to get this out in any kind of reasonable amount of time, so it's been delayed all the way until June 17th of next year. Now, the reason that you can know that this is not a small thing and that it's not, the visual guide is not some sort of periphery piece of content that they thought would be a lackluster loser is because the foreword is done by Amanda Stenberg, none other than Diss Track herself. So Pablo Hidalgo and Amanda Stenberg got together to write a book about the Acolyte that was supposed to be part of the celebration of the second season on the way. Instead, none of that's happening. But now we know what Pablo Hidalgo does. Let's scroll down a little bit. You're going to love this. Here's what it says about this visual guide that was supposed to be part of the marketing. Decades before the birth of Darth Vader, explore the glorious High Republic era in the Star Wars galaxy. During this exciting time, the noble Jedi are protectors of peace and justice. Well, if you saw the show, you know that's not true. This visual guide reveals all of the key characters, locations, vehicles, and technology from the Disney Plus series and is written by Star Wars insider Pablo Hidalgo. Well, who is Pablo Hidalgo and what does he do? Because we've been trying now for years to figure out exactly what it is that Pablo Hidalgo does. He's an executive, but every time we say that, we get pushed back. Well, here's what we found out about Pablo Hidalgo. Would you ready? You ready to know this, folks? Again, from Penguin Random House, of all the places that would have outed Pablo, we never thought it would be Penguin Random House. Like this is, but here it is. All right, here's what Pablo Hidalgo does at Lucasfilm when he's not, apparently, coordinating with the Acolyte. Yeah, Pablo Hidalgo, Acolyte, together. Yeah, you know, it's a duo made in definitely not heaven. Author Pablo Hidalgo is a creative executive within the Lucasfilm Story Group. Jonas, I need you to fix your mic long enough to hop in on this because you know some stuff about this. Jonas, let me make my question, and you give us the response here.
You tell me if I've got an echo, and I just won't unmute. I changed my sourcing on this.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. You're good, Jonas. Okay, Jonas, please tell us why it's a big deal that for a brand new, not yet released piece of media, that Pablo Hidalgo is now listed as being a creative executive with the Lucasfilm Story Group.
Well, because whenever Pablo Hidalgo talks about himself online, he will ask, if you mention the Lucasfilm Story Group, he will start to ask you a lot of questions about what the Lucasfilm Story Group actually does. The people that are in the Lucasfilm Story Group used to be credited in productions as the Lucasfilm Story Group until they started to, I guess they maybe got wise to some of the pushback that they were getting there, and they started crediting them as creative consultant Lucasfilm or other things other than the Lucasfilm Story Group. So this is also something to the point where I was wondering if they got rid of the name of the organization because they know that it's noted out there as a bugaboo. Like, you don't put Kathleen Kennedy to be the first name to promote your show here. Also, that Pablo Hidalgo has a tendency to go out there and he knows that people are angry with him, and he's the kind of person that doesn't necessarily dislike that people are angry at him, and he might enjoy it a little bit.
Well, Pablo doesn't seem to often want to be associated with the Lucasfilm Story Group, but Penguin Random House didn't get that message. They didn't get the memo.
They did not.
And so not only now do we know from Penguin Random House, Pablo, take it up with them if you want to disagree. It's not us. But we know from Penguin Random House that he is, in fact, the creative executive with the Story Group. But apparently, he's the creative executive with the Story Group that worked with the Acolyte. So much so that he's the one who's in charge of the visual style book that's now going to be released, that was supposed to be part of a media campaign that was going to generate some more enthusiasm for a show that was so poorly received that it is now canceled. Now, I want to prove something to everybody out there real quick. Let me go to Star Wars News Net, then we'll come back to the panel. Just want to prove this. The Acolyte Visual Guide coming January 2025 by Miguel Fernandez, April 2nd, 2024. This was supposed to come out as Skeleton Crew was ending and as we were getting the news about the second season of The Acolyte and when it would release. This was supposed to be a very easy segue of promotion. Brought forth to you by Pablo Hidalgo and Amanda Stenberg. Instead, because The Acolyte Season 2 is gone, there's no rush to get this out, so it'll be coming to you in the summer, where it will no doubt debut to no numbers, just like the show. So lest you think, oh, Pro, you don't have it right on this, there's no way that it's actually delayed, Nope, it was delayed. So there you go, folks. That's what Pablo Hidalgo does these days. Rather than mocking Star Wars theory, rather than attacking Gina Carano, Pablo Hidalgo busy writing the visual guides for the Acolyte.
And hanging out on a blue sky.
Yep. Panel, any additional thoughts on Pablo Hidalgo and what we've now confirmed that he is still indeed the creative executive at Lucasfilm? Which, by the way, means no positive movement is happening at Lucasfilm if he's still the creative executive.
His head looks like a potato. That's my observation.
Potato.
Oh, wait a minute.
It still explains a lot. Yeah. When it comes to Pablo and how thin-skinned he is, especially when it comes to fan criticism. So, not surprised he's still hanging around in there like Kathleen Kennedy.
Now, wait a minute, Lorena. If he's the creative executive with the Lucasfilm Story Group, which I thought that had been denied by him. I don't know. Maybe we got confusified. I don't know.
I thought I thought he was like, no, I'm not that guy.
Yeah, I thought maybe we're just confused. But Lorena, if he is, then I don't see how the Lucasfilm Story Group, with him as the creative executive there, I don't see how it's not culpable for what we've been watching come out of Star Wars for the past 2, 3, 4 years. I think this ties Hidalgo to all of that.
I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, I would agree with you as well. And I think when people see Pablo Hidalgo's name keep popping up or Kathleen Kennedy attached to projects, and it just kind of, it really speaks to the regime is still in place, right? I think this is why Skeleton Crew didn't do all that well in terms of the numbers. Right there, didn't even make the top 10 because people kind of associate, modern Star Wars with these specific executives and specific creators, and people, as a result, don't get really enthusiastic about any of these projects coming forward because it's still part of this regime.
Now, Jonas, one thing we need to add onto this is that you had an exclusive discussion with an author, Timothy Zahn, who is famous for Star Wars novels, and he had a different take about Pablo Hidalgo and seemed to insinuate that Hidalgo might be connected with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Could you tell us a little bit about that discussion you had?
That's actually not that's not the author I was thinking that we were going to end up talking about here.
You go where you need to go on both of those.
Yeah. So we did get to talk to Timothy Zahn, and by the way, thoroughly pleasant individual, Timothy Zahn.
We like Timothy Zahn. Nice guy.
He talked about how, as they're working on incorporating Thrawn into more of the visual media stuff, so Mandalorian and Grogu looks like they're going to have Thrawn involved in some way. That, from my perspective, and Pro might have a different perspective than I do on this. That's not me. That's not me having a scoop. That's just reading what they've been up to there with the storylines for all of this. He said that they have not contacted him in order to incorporate his thoughts on Thrawn into the series. And that was, I forget which level he said at which they would need to make that call. And there weren't many people at that level that could make the call on whether or not Timothy Zahn would be involved in writing Thrawn. One of the major complaints, of course, in Ahsoka was that there weren't very many moving pieces in order for Thrawn to look actually intelligent and clever. In fact, you could say that it was one of the dumbest translations of Thrawn that you could ever see. I literally just got done reading the Thrawn trilogy. I had about 2 minutes left on my audiobook before I got to talk to him. This is something where Lucasfilm wants to trade on the better work of people who came before, the things that have built the nostalgia, but they don't want to incorporate the creators who created that nostalgia and cultivated that nostalgia, for a better phrase there. I don't think they dislike Timothy Zahn. They're fine for him to create more books, for them to make these TV series based off of his work, but they don't want his say when they're actually making what probably should be cartoons when it comes down to it.
Because Jonas, that's the old Star Wars. That's the George Lucas Star Wars. Timothy Zahn is one of the old creators, and that's what they don't like. I think this is our Star Wars written by us and our people. The only crossover person that seems to kind of have the ability to walk in both worlds is Filoni, and that's just because he has completely bent the knee. Timothy Zahn, if they brought him in to write TV right now, he's not going to do everything or he's going to at least push back on what they want him to do.
Well, to put a bow on this, I would just say that modern Lucasfilm, you can summarize their problems by looking at this and saying, Pablo Hidalgo is apparently heavily integrated into figuring out the visuals of the Acolyte. Gotta love that T-Rex mask there. Go power Dino Rangers. So you gotta love that mask that we've all mocked. Pablo Hidalgo puts it on the front of the book. They're really proud of it. Meanwhile, Timothy Zahn, who wrote Thrawn and made it fantastic, a fantastic character, the best non-George Lucas originated villain in Star Wars, and yet he, as we've confirmed by talking to him directly, Jonas, he has no advisory role with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, with the Thrawn movies coming up. That is Pablo Hidalgo, who continues to be a problem, I believe, for Lucasfilm. And we have yet again confirmed that he is still, according to Penguin Random House, who is doing his book for him, and we would assume that Pablo gave the description of what he does to Penguin, that he is still the creative executive on the Lucasfilm Story Group. Pablo, we apologize for outing you in such a way. And it is time to put a bow on it, for this one, folks, is a gift to everybody who wants to know exactly what's going on in the entertainment industry, and we are so joyful that you were there to receive it. We hope that you had a great time. An attitude of gratitude on this channel every single time you decide to spend time with us. As we get ready to say goodbye, we only ask a few simple things. Click that like button, share, subscribe, click it, and stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not yours. And folks, as you get ready to head out that door, do you have a place on social media that you love to share this sort of thing? Hey, you can make this YouTube video sing by putting it out there for your friends, your family, and for those weirdos who just won't leave you alone. Folks, until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.